Okay, during this workshop, I've muted all of your mic. However, you can still raise your questions, which we encourage you to do during the entire duration of this e-workshop. And then we also encourage you to switch on your cam and then actively participate by asking questions. Okay, quick background of this workshop. So this workshop is basically a CDG sharing session by Mr. Ting Yifei. So at the end of last year, he attended AFC Football Fitness Course 1B. And today he's going to share with all of us what football fitness is all about, what is the benefits, and also possible applications in terms of football exercises, in terms of speed, anaerobic, and aerobic development. So let's give Ife a warm welcome. Okay, Ife, please.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. Thank you, Chan Leong, for the great introduction. Nice to see all of you again. And I hope today I can share a bit more about what I have gone through during my course last year in 2019 December at the AFC Football Fitness course. And please feel free to ask me questions because I think it's more lively and interactive. Otherwise, it's just like watching a YouTube video. And yeah, I'll be more than willing to share about information outside of this my presentation. But let's keep it within the football fitness. All right. And okay, so a quick background about myself. Presently, I just completed I've just submitted my dissertation. I hope I passed for my research in exercise and sports science. It's a research in learning, which means how footballers, when they see certain drills, when you teach them certain drills, how do they learn, and whether if you talk to them, maybe give them a few cues, is it enough for them to pick up the skill, or is it too little? Yeah, so my research was into that. I just submitted my dissertation for that. So hopefully I'll pass that. And then yeah, I graduated in exercise and sports science in the year 2009 from Edith Cowan. If there are any sports scientists around here, I think a lot of them in Singapore all graduated from Edith Cowan University. Pretty cool university, and a lot of us are working either in Sports Science Institute of Singapore or in other football or in other sports association. And a bit about my professional certificate. I got my first coaching license in the year 2007. I've been coaching since then, so it has been about 13 years. And because of my sports science background, I decided to dive deeper into sports specific fitness, and that's what I'm sharing today. So recently I've qualified as a football fitness course under AFC purview. And then, yeah, I don't have a lot of certificates, just a few important ones. And also one of them from NSCA, National Strength and Conditioning Association from US, Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist. For those who are interested to dive a bit deeper into how to strengthen your players, how to condition them to be fast or to prevent injuries, right? This is a good qualification to have. You need to have a bachelor degree. So the criteria is a bit quite challenging. They say 66% of those people who went for the course pass, only 66% passing rate. And yeah, and then why I'm here, because I'm with the NROC, I'm a senior coach there, and I'm here to give back to the coaching community, and I hope I can continue to do so. It's really a privilege to be sharing here and to have all of you spending time with me this afternoon. It's a bit hot though. And a bit about my coaching experience. I started with the Youth Academy at LBX, Niigata, 2004 and 2005. So I worked a lot with the Japanese coaches, and that probably shaped how I coach. And it's really like right down to the details, the placement of our foot. Everything is really like the nitty-gritty stuff. And I was very lucky to be coaching beside Philippi Au, Hari Amin at the Home United Football Youth Academy after that. And shortly after, I also started my own sports science project, because I feel that why should sports science be limited to national athletes or elite athletes? Everybody should enjoy sports science so that you can have a systematic approach to improving yourself, because it's science, there's no guesswork. Everything we do, right, is based on evidence. We always ask why. We are very skeptical people. And then Hui Kun, she's a senior physiotherapist at SSI. Together with her, we set up the first football science and medicine department in 2010. And I was handling the youth academy from under 14s all the way to under 21. So there are a few age group that comes up because of certain international tournaments. And I assisted the national team, head fitness coach Alexander Sasha Buzenko and Dejan Gusevic. They are my mentors. They are fantastic mentors. I owe all my knowledge to them. They are really, really, really fantastic coaches. So that I was there for about 4 years. And presently now, I'm coaching individuals, which is quite unique. People like some of them I have coached, and some of them have moved on to clubs, and some of them are still playing the national teams. So that's a very brief explanation of what I did for the last 13 years. Okay, so today, right, I think the main takeaway is to understand what is football fitness. How come there's such a position? If you look at a lot of highlights for English, like, okay, we watch a lot of English Premier League games in Singapore, but in other countries, you always see there's this person that is shouting on the field, asking the players to run faster, coming out with all those busu ball, some funny leather equipment. Yeah, those are the football fitness coach. And the football fitness coach is a bit more specialized, which means, right, first you must know football. Then you can train the players to be able to be fit for the game, because you must understand the game. Otherwise, you'll be asking the players to run in circles around the field, which is, you are not training them to be marathon runners. You want them to be fit to play the game, which means they are able to change direction quickly. They are able to make short sprint, recover, make another short sprint. So you must know the game, which is why this football fitness coaching pathway is a bit challenging for actually a lot of coaches who went through this course. And for some of you, I would say many of you could be probably any B diploma holders here. Maybe you can type in the group chat, I can see. Any of you can just say hi, you can put your hands up. Then anyone who is oh great, this is hi sir, hello, great, B diploma holders. So the basic requirement, right, before you can take on this football fitness course, right, is going to be a B license, which is you have to go up introduction, C license, and then B. So it requires a certain level of technical knowledge of the game, and then you can start to plan. Okay, why is it so? I will explain a bit more. And then after you get your B ready, right, you need to get level 1. So level 1 previously it was broken down into 2 parts. So level 1A, which was in 2018, then level 1B, which was the last one I completed. So you have to do them separately, and it takes about 2 years plus. So the whole course, can you imagine this coaching license, right, takes about 2 years plus to complete. It's quite tedious. I mean, for me, maybe for some of the people, it's easier. Okay, so how for those of you who are really interested in becoming a football fitness coach and start to make speed monsters out of your players, how do you go about it? First, you must have your AFC B license. All right, they call it B diploma now. And then you must be able to show good background or experience, which means you must keep a logbook. I always encourage coaches, right, to write down whatever they do on a daily basis. If you can't write, just on a weekly basis, a summary of what you have done throughout the week. So we always have a reference point. And then when it comes to a situation like that, when you need to apply for courses with Football Association, right, you can show them that you are practicing and you have current practice to back up, so they can actually send you for courses. Okay. After that, of course, when they send you, because the course space is very limited for this, it's a very exciting coaching role, which means a lot of people want to do it. But the number of spaces is so little. Like maybe for the last 5 years, right, I think there are only maybe 3 times this course happened, 3 or 4 times only. And each time maybe about 17 to 20 participants. Yeah. Okay. Then after that, you must have a relevant sports science diploma or degree, because the course requires you to know, right, the anatomy of the body, what happens to the heart when you do this exercise, what happens to the muscle when you do this exercise, and you need to go down right down to the names of the muscles. yeah, it's very, very technical at the beginning, especially the part one of the course. You must be physically fit because you need to demonstrate the drill, or you need to participate in the drill so that you can understand how intense it is. Because some of the coaches, right, we plan the drill, right, we plan until, wow, we are damn happy, wow, this is damn intense, you're going to sprint here, sprint there, and then execute it, we say, wow, this is too much. Actually, it's not practical. So some of the things you have to do it and try it out. For especially some of the coaches, might not have as much playing experience as some of the professional players. We still have to plan, try it out, which that means you must be physically fit. And the course is quite taxing. It's going to happen over 7 days, 8 hours daily. And during these 8 hours, you'll be going to the field. Theory lessons will be back to school as if you are back to lecture. The lecturing hours are like 3 hours straight. Go to field, do the drills 2 hours under the hot sun, come back to class, another 3 hours straight of anatomy class and physiology class. By the end of the day, right, day one already, your brain is fried already. And then you have to continue doing it up for 7 more days. Yeah, so amazing to all those people who have passed it. Then after you have 1 hour theory exam, then practical exam. What does the practical exam entail? So I show you an example later on. So this is the last timetable that we had. If you can look at the timetable, sorry. Yeah, if you look at the green parts, right, those are the practical sessions. And if you look at the blue part, that is the scary part, that is the theory part that we all have to go through. And each one you can see is about an hour and a half. And you can see the majority of it is blue. So for those people who comes in thinking that, okay, I'm going to be a football fitness coach and I'm going to do lots of practical stuff, right? I think you'll be in for a big surprise. A lot is theory, and yeah, it's really that knowledge that you have to gain, right, in order to plan the football fitness session properly. And these are the books that we all have to study, and each book is about a few hundred pages. And these are the books that we have to clear. And the exam, the 1 hour exam, right, will be tested on any of the content within these books. So if you, later on I'll share my contacts. If you're interested, I can share some parts of the books with you. I can't share everything because it's copyrighted, but I can share some parts of the books with you, which might be useful for some of you who have been practicing coaching now. And yeah, these books also could be bought online. There are also newer versions of these books, which is very good for reading. Not for big time. Basically, for coaching wise, it makes more sense. Okay, this is the sample of a practical exam. I'll give you maybe 30 seconds to read through. You look at it. The questions, right, will be given to you at random. So which means at the practical exam, you draw a lot. You pick. It's like you draw lots, right? And then you pick a number. And then from the number, you'll be given a random question. And then you have to immediately plan a session out. You have 20 minutes to plan, 20 minutes to execute it. And you wouldn't know what you get. It's like a box of chocolate. Okay, so take a look at it and see what will you do. Yeah, it's pretty tough. You'll be given a team of players and you can basically do whatever you want with them. Oh, Philippine Ao is here also. And when you have passed the theory exam, you have passed the practical exams, the end of the course, right, a football fitness coach should be able to assist the head coach to plan a session, right, that targets all fitness areas of the footballer, whether it's the sprint ability, whether it's the ability to do repeated sprints, or whether the ability to last in a match. They must be able to plan a football drill, right, that target this fitness, not just by asking to run or go to the gym. The special thing about a football fitness coach is they are able to plan a session, right, that involves ball, that involves the game. So before you even plan, you need to understand what you need to change, what you need to improve. That means you must be able to select and execute the right test. For example, maybe I'll ask you a question. For an aerobic test, what kind of test do you all do? 30 seconds. You can type in the chat group. All right, just feel free to give your inputs, so that we can make it a bit more interactive. Oh, big test, very good. Thanks, Victor. Thanks for the big test is okay. Yo-yo test, wow, nice, good. Hello, Victor. How do you do the yo-yo test very often? If you are not shy, you can unmute yourself and speak. 30-15 IFT interval. Okay, I'm not too sure about the 30-15 IFT. The yo-yo test, right, I would say it's an up or intermittent fitness test. Okay, I'll go and look deeper into it. But let me elaborate a bit more on the yo-yo test. It's a upgraded version of the beep test because it involves a recovery period of 5 to 10 seconds, depending on the level of it. It's more specific to football because in football you also run and you stop at certain times, right? Whereas big test is just continuous. It's not as specific. Previously, S-League did 2.4 kilometer. That's running in circles. So the more specific your test is, the better it is to gauge your players' fitness, right? So after you did the test already, you can find out whether the players meet the standard that you need to play in that certain position. And then you can start to plan the drills. Okay? Then what happens next? Before you can plan the drills, you also must understand which part of the energy systems you are targeting. Energy systems could mean, is it the sprinting muscles or is it the endurance part, which means you target the heart, the energy system, right, for the player to last. Okay, so we must be able to understand all this, which means the theory part is very important. And there are certain parameters that you need to keep to, and that's what we learn during the course also. So it's a lot to take in within that 7 days. And of course, prior to that, our instructor do ask us to go and do our own homework before even coming to the course. The homework lasts about a year. Okay, so what do I mean just now, right? When I say that you want to do everything with the ball. A very simple example would be, if you look at the first one, the non-specific one, this is what usually most of the coaches would do, because when I coach outside and I ask the coaches what do, they always say we'll do suicide run. Even the players, they love this suicide run. It's like a trending PT. Everybody loves suicide run. I'm sure 50% of the people down here, right, has done this drill before. I mean, I've done it before also. But if you think about it, right, this suicide run takes about 10 minutes. What if you can play football and still train the same fitness component, right, as you do with a suicide run? Isn't that better? Because at the end of the day, right, a footballer is a footballer. The person is not going to run like this in the field. The person is going to change direction, 45 degrees, backtrack, go forward again, right? So specific means how can you design the drill, right, which a suicide run actually improves into a football specific drill. How would you be able to do that? Okay, later on I'll give you a bit more parameters. The slides, the recording will be uploaded. You can go and review the recordings, and then you can also see, you can revise and take down the information and apply it to your own training. So after a football fitness coach will plan all the drills to be as specific as possible to the game. And then most importantly, right, we must understand what is the football fitness coach role. First, he reports to the head coach, because having tactical knowledge, which means you can coach football as well, but at B license, you understand what the coach needs. Does the coach play a pressing game, which means the team needs to be very, very fit, or the coach plays a counter-attacking game where the team sits back and there are a few runners that hits the flank on the counter-attack, 20-30 meters run. So what kind of fitness, right, does the coach want his player to have? Which means you report to the head coach and communicate very close to the head coach and develops the kind of fitness, right, that head coach needs from the player to execute his game plan. And the football fitness coach basically is responsible for all the football fitness program design. But in Singapore, I think a lot of academy or a lot of school coaches, right, don't have the luxury. So which means, right, maybe for some of you who, if you go on to this course, right, you can even plan your session much better, which means that limited time you have during coaching, you can actually spend all the time, right, getting your players to play football and to train fitness at the same time. You don't need to get your players to do suicide run or running in circles around the field just to develop fitness specific to football. Okay. Then the last part, which is quite important, you partner with other sports medicine staff, which means you talk to the sports doctor, you talk to the sports physiotherapist, you even talk to the sports psychologist. So everybody will speak the same lingo, and that's how proficient a football fitness coach must be in his own theory. Because what the sports doctors say, you must be able to understand. Like this, the sports physiotherapy asks you, okay, there are certain exercises that the players can't do, and this anatomy of the body, right, is not ready to heal. You must be able to know, like, I mean, if I were to give you the best example, like quadricep hamstring, right, you'll be surprised that some players, they mix up, they will just invert the hamstring is actually in the front. Yeah, but it's just as important as that because you need to read the notes. So one of the most important criteria, one of the most important role of a football fitness coach is the person must be able to speak with the medical team and then to provide very holistic care for the players. Okay, so what happens after you graduate with a football fitness coaching license? Okay, because like this is very important. You get a certificate because you want to be qualified so that people can hire you, right? And then you can get a job chasing your passion. So under the new club licensing regulations, each club, professional club, must have a football fitness coach. So when you have a football fitness coach, you can play in AFC sanctioned tournaments. Okay, it's one of the requirements. If you are not working for a professional club, you can offer your services to a football academy or to schools or even to competitive footballers who wants an edge to their game because they want to train even harder, but they just don't want to go and do suicide run. They want to do specific drills with the ball and to improve fitness at the same time. So these are the 4 possible opportunities for you after you graduate with a football fitness license. Okay, the first one is, of course, the most desirable one because you get to work with professional players and you get to really work very closely with top level coaches. Okay, I'm going to show you, right, a simple, just now I show you something non-specific and specific. I'm going to show you this. Later, I'm going to ask you a question. Watch very closely, right? What is the duration of the play? And what is the surface, what is the area of the play, and how long do they rest? Later, I'll explain a bit more. So this is what we learned during the football fitness course. We learned to develop stamina using small-sided games. Okay, I'm going to okay, here you go. Okay. So just by playing small-sided games, you are able to train stamina actually. This might look very simple, but the most difficult thing is how long you must play. And after you play a set, right, how long must you rest? And what is the surface? Oh, couldn't see it. Oh, give me a moment. Give me a moment. Let me share the. Lingesh, thanks for pointing out. Can you see it now? So the box is about 10 meters by 15 meters or probably slightly larger. Yeah, I'm just showing an example, right? just for this possession game, you're able to train your aerobic fitness, which is basically stamina, the endurance to run for a longer period of time. All right. So this is something that is very specific. And if you look at what is non-specific, it will basically be this, okay? This is a suicide run that I'm talking about. So imagine, right, your coaching time, maybe some of us have 2 hours and some of it has gone into like briefing that left us with 1.5 hours. If possible, right, you want to be able to do everything with the ball instead of running up and down like this. That's which is what our instructors at the football fitness course actually really advocate us to do. Whatever we do, right, try to always have the ball in mind. So how do we plan that session? So just now, if you see the first drill, right, the small-sided game, the area is about 15 to 10, and the timing per set is about 3 minutes. When you go to the course, the instructor will teach you, okay, if you want to train this certain component, what is the play time that you need to do, and how much after you play already, right, how much must you rest? Everything will be taught to you during that period of time so that you can design the drill exactly to train either speed, repeated sprint, or endurance. You have all the parameters to write down, then you can design a drill around all these parameters. And if you look at this, right, this small-sided game, if I play small-sided game, can I really train fitness? These are some of the research that have been done. You look at this, one aside, the heart rate maximum is 75 to 80% already. And you look at the highest one, right, for 3 aside and from 2 aside to 4 aside, look at the heart rate percentage that the players can actually go up to. It's almost 90%. That's very high. And the best part about this, right, is players are more motivated to train. Okay? So I would say that if you go to this football fitness course, you learn a lot about designing football drills to train fitness. And it's amazing. You save so much time and you get the players more motivated to train. And then for speed-wise, this is also what you can do. Simple short sprints, even the 10 seconds work, it's a bit too long. Probably it will be less than that. And then you rest. And then anaerobic, your work duration will be shorter, and then you rest, not as long as you sprint. So all these are different type of programming that you can do for your fitness drill to train different fitness components. Anaerobic. Okay, so after going through this football fitness course, right, I understand that very importantly, I hope today the things that I shared with you all is when you all go back to your coaching, right, think about if I want to make the players run, instead of making them run without the ball, right, what can I do with the ball that has the same kind of effect as running around without the ball? You see? Yeah. And if I can play small-sided game, right, for the entire training, with even the passing drill, I can ask them to pass to one another, just to exchange balls. I will do that. Yeah. As much as possible, how much time do you want your players to have on the ball? How much touches do you want your players to have on the ball per session? If you go and look at, I love to observe other coaches coach, and sometimes when I see coaches coach, right, where the kids are always on the ball, where they have a ball edge, or when the cycle of the ball is very fast, right, like constantly the players are always with the ball. I feel very happy. The last thing I want to see is like players standing in queues waiting for their turn, right? It's as if like queuing up to buy food like that. And time is a luxury in most coaching. Next is scientific approach. When you see our timetable just now, the amount of time we spent, right, we need in the 7 days to learn about theory, right, is so much. There's a reason, because everything we do, we want to make sure that it's based on evidence, not something that's plucked out of the sky. Of course, coaching is an art. Sometimes it's based on what you experienced before, and that right moment you execute this certain style. But again, for drills like this, there's sometimes it's just very factual. If I plan like this is going to happen to the player. I'm going to develop his speed. If I plan like this, I'm going to develop his stamina, his aerobic fitness. So it's a scientific approach, and all these have been tested. So as coaches, right, when you take all these numbers and you plan your drills, right, for sure at the end of 3 to 4 months, right, you'll see results. That I can guarantee you. And simplicity. So sometimes I would see like training drills, we have a lot of cones, a lot of markers. The whole pitch looks like circles with a lot of cones. It makes the whole pitch very complicated. What my instructor told us, right, is actually to simplify things. You know, have 1 or 2 good drills, right, where the player get used to it, and when they do it over time, they get better and better. Then it's time to start. If you start changing drills every other sessions, right, unless they are kids like below 10 years old, where you need to engage them, you know, need to keep them interested, then fine. But for youth footballers, sometimes you need a bit of consistency. And if you keep things simple, you're able to target the right fitness group actually. So if you have more questions, right, about what the football fitness course is about, or actually if you want me to share some of my notes on the football fitness course, feel free to email me at ife@physiczone.com, or you can follow me on Instagram _m_lab, and I'll be able to share those information with you. Okay, so for the courses, right, if you can see, right, I can hold on, give me a moment. Like this. So during the course, right, you'll be given a few drills that relates to speed, and there are like maybe 20 or 30 drills, and those drills I can share with you guys if you are interested. And probably I didn't touch a lot on what it means, like why you can do 10 seconds, why you do 120 seconds. Basically, the most important thing for today, right, is to give everybody an idea of what it means to go through this football fitness course, and how it actually helped me as develop better as a coach. And also, like for anaerobic drill, if you think about it, like what is the difference between the anaerobic drill and the speed drill? So all these differences, right, please feel free to contact me on Instagram or during my email, and I can really share those information with you. Do you all have any things that you want to ask me more? Even if you want to ask me to explain a bit more on the drills, I'd be more than happy, since we got some time left.
Ife.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe you can explain a bit more about these 3 slides: the speed, the anaerobic, and the aerobic part.
Sure.
Yeah, as in why the drills are set up this way, and why is it the recommended work and rest time as such. Yeah.
30 by 20. Okay. So for the speed drill, right, when we are doing speed, we want to always remember that the work to rest ratio is between 1 to 10 to 1 to 20. What it means is, for example, if you ask let me ask you all, see, what is the most common sprint distance that a footballer will typically sprint in a match most of the time? You can type in the chat. Think about maybe 10 meters, 20 meters, or 30 meters. You can think about it. You can also 10 meters. Okay, great. 10 meters. Any more answers? So the most common distance that a player, right, yeah, depending on positions. So the mean distance that most players will sprint during the match, right, will be about 20 meters over the entire period. Okay, so which means, right, any distance that you plan for your football drill over 20 meters, right, is not really going to be very specific. Probably if you want to plan 30 meters, it's to train their running form, but try to keep within 20 meters. So for a 20-meter sprint, it will typically take a player about less than 4 seconds. All right. So within that 4 seconds, what you want, right, your rest should be 10 times the sprint time taken. So if you take 4 seconds to sprint, you want your rest to be about 40 seconds or above. You wouldn't want the player to sprint 4 seconds, rest 4 seconds, and then sprint again. Why is that so? Because you want the player to be really fresh when they execute the next sprint, because you want the player to be 100%. All right, it takes a lot of effort, or rather, it takes a lot of the nervous system is working very hard to make sure that the body, right, has maximal force. So you can remember, every time you do a sprint, just make sure that the rest period will be about 10 times the time taken to execute that sprint. So that is for speed. And there's a question, what's your take on employing other fitness style with football, like CrossFit, track and field drills? Actually, this is a very good question. For CrossFit wise, probably it could be off season. Yeah, because if for some of you who have done CrossFit, or if you have seen how CrossFit is done, right? CrossFit basically is like a bulking. If you do it seriously, you actually put on a lot of bulk, and probably it might not be very appropriate for a footballer. Yeah, if you look at CrossFit athletes, some of them are quite bulky. You seldom see the CrossFit athletes profile like a footballer. So you wouldn't want that kind of physique, you see. And yeah, and CrossFit, usually you wouldn't get that. There's not a lot of agility drills in CrossFit. It's pretty one way. So CrossFit probably do it in the off season just to refresh the mind, train the body. Yeah, just to get a bit stronger. That's about it. For track and field drills, it's very important. You can, I actually work with a track and field coach to help my players to improve their running form. So for me, I'll train them in football drills, right? And then I'll send them over to the track and field coach, where the track and field coach will actually improve on their sprinting drills. So, sorry, their sprinting form, that means their power output. And they will do basic sprint drills for which the sprinters do. So you can see that their sprinting form actually improves over time. And for the next one, anaerobic, there are two components to it. So anaerobic, what it means, is a very big word for some of us. Anaerobic means the ability to do repeated sprints. For example, if there's a counter, you sprint up, but unfortunately the ball didn't reach you, and it reaches the opponent's defender, and the ball hits back into your own third, and then you need to come back to defend, especially if you're a fullback. So you need to sprint back, right? And if this happens a few times during the match, you must have the ability to have this output, that repeated sprint, which means the anaerobic system of your body must be trained. So for this, typically the work-rest ratio is a bit different. If you have a drill, for example, like a 1v1 drill or 2v2 drill, where the work-rest ratio, where the working, maybe you have a 30 seconds work period. The rest period, it can be about 90 seconds, 1:3, or to 1:6. It's between that range. So when you plan the anaerobic drill, right, make sure, right, that the rest period is slightly shorter than the sprinting drill, just 1:3 or 1:6, to tax that system. Okay, and then when you come to the next one, where it's the aerobic drill, for example, like a small-sided game, like a 5v5, you can, then the duration will be stretched a bit longer. Okay, the rest period can be 1:1, or even 1:2 of the work duration. Okay, depending on how fit your players are. That's why when you write down all the notes, right, you always have a reference point to check back whether the players can execute your drill, even towards the last set, are they able to have the same quality? I think the very interesting pattern, if you see, right, from speed, repeated sprints, to aerobic, where it's endurance, you can see as the intensity of the work. So speed is 100% pace, right? The player will sprint all out. The working period is very long. The rest period will be longer, 1:10, or it can be even longer. For this one, if you queue up, it's no problem, or they can be at the side doing active rest where they can be juggling the ball or can they be passive resting, no problem. Then as you come to repeated sprints, you can see that the rest period starts to shorten, but the intensity is still about there. It's just 30 seconds of very hard work, but the rest period is shorter than the sprint period. Then as you go to aerobic, right, where the work intensity is much lower than speed, or the anaerobic part, duration is longer, and then the rest period starts to shorten. So as you can see, right, when the intensity, right, shortens, lowers, the rest period also start to lower together. When you want intensity out of your players, you have to give them time to rest, especially when you want to have good speed, or you want to have the maximum output, force output. Okay, not effort, it's force output. How much power or how much force the muscle can produce, right? You need to give them adequate rest. And there's a question from Mr. Victor Tay. Football is very much lower body specific fitness. So what could you recommend for their work on upper body, especially during the in-season? I would say during the in-season, the upper body work, right? You can do simple. Most important, I would say they need the upper body work to sprint. That means they need that drive from the upper arms. So simple exercises like shoulder press, pull-ups, or let's pull down, bench press. Okay, nothing that is too bulky. All right. The main goal of training the upper body during the in-season, right, is basically, right, to do maintenance. A lot of work is done in the pre-season and off-season, depending on the number of games you have during the in-season. If you have a lot of games, right, you can't probably do a lot of work on the upper body because you really want the players to be well rested. So basically it's for maintenance. But if you are talking about the preseason and off-season, you can do a bit more just to have a bit more strength in the upper limbs so that the players can really drive and help them with the sprints. So that's upper limb, right? Upper body also includes a trunk, and you want a bit of stiffness in the trunk to help you not only to prevent injury, but also to help you to execute certain kicks in the game where you need your upper body to be stable, you need to hold your upper body stable, or when you jump and hit the ball, right, you want the trunk to be a bit stiffer. So you can do your simple trunk exercises, stability exercises, okay? But try not to hold them for too long. It's really not very useful. Too long meaning anything that above, I would say above, like each pose, right? Don't try to do it above 20 seconds. Just keep it below 20 seconds, good form. But the entire duration of the trunk exercise can be a bit longer, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, but you keep changing, okay? So each pose, like for example, front plank, 10 seconds, then you change side plank, 10 seconds, then you go to a hip bridge, 10 seconds. So you just keep alternating and really focus on the form.
Ife,
yes.
We have a question from Facebook also.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. For players who are less quick, that means slower players, how long or how many sessions of football fitness must they undergo before they can see an improvement in performance?
Player that is less fit and
no, less quick. That means they run slower.
Quick,
yeah.
Okay. I think I think some of the coach will be very I want to give the mother of answer. It depends, right? It depends on where the state of the player is. But usually, and depending on the age. Chuan, do you know, did the person mention what is the age group?
Actually, it's a former national youth player, I think. Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't mention
so now
the name.
Must be adult already. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's 20 plus right now already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for an adult, right? Yeah. For an adult, depending on what kind of drills you do. So I would say, based on my previous experience with my players, right, if you are just a normal amateur player and your 10 meters is about 2 seconds, okay, to decrease about maybe to go down to 1.8 or 1.7, you might need to take about a year of good training to go down that much, you see. So I would always say, right, give yourself a year. I mean, right now I am not sure what is the person's baseline and what is the person's training history, right? But I would say a year of consistent training, maybe 1 week, 2 times. And if you find a good football fitness coach, right, within a year, you should be able to see changes in your speed. That is for sure. And a year will just go past very quickly. And consistent means not every week you work. That means you work consistently for 4 weeks. Then you have a downtime, 1 week you rest, and then you go back to training again. And then you ramp up and this is like consistently, right? You should be able to see changes in your speed if you do the right drills. And also, I think Coach Philippi Ao also mentioned just now when I asked what is the typical sprint distance for different players. He said depending on positions. So if you can break up your groups into different positions. For example, like defenders or forwards, you want to really target on like short sprints, 5 meters, 10 meters, that first 5 steps. You can do general conditioning all together. And then after that, if they are responsible enough, you can break them up into groups. Okay, fullback, 20 meters, you go and run. Then forward, defenders, or those who need a bit more work on the short sprints, right? You can do it. So the ultimate challenge of a football fitness coach is whether how specific we can program the drill to the needs of the player. And that is the ultimate challenge for us. And that is why I mentioned in my last slide specificity. And of course, it's a challenge, right? I would say if you do general conditioning, 10 meters, everybody, 20 meters, maybe you can pick up some of the players that you think, right, that will run 20 meters and ask them to do it. Yeah, I would say 20 meters, probably, yeah, it's a distance that everybody can do lah. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Just get everybody to do it. But if you have the resources, right, you can break them up into group and focus a bit more on it. And Mr. Julian also say that now that my footballer just returned to training after a long break, what is the most important fitness element to train? Okay, this is a very important question also. Thanks, Julian, for asking that question. So circuit breaker is about 2.5 months. And depending on the player, if the player is diligent enough to maintain the aerobic fitness. So just imagine that this circuit breaker is like an off season for some, or pre-season, or second pre-season for some. Okay, if you read in the news, some of the players came back even fitter, like they become ripped. But for some players, they came back like fatter because, and I can totally empathize, because this circuit breaker is just a period of abnormality. You cannot go out. So the first thing that you need to train, right, is your aerobic fitness, which means your endurance. Okay, don't even need to think about sprints. Don't even need to think about I'm going to have just high impact games. That is just a recipe for injury. You can always, for coaches, we always can be more conservative, because my motto is also, there's another day to train harder. Today, right, you train them and you feel, actually they are coping well with this intensity. Okay, today I train this 3 minutes, small-sided game, 5 sets, 2 minutes rest. All of them can complete successfully and still have good quality of technical skill. Okay, the next training, right, I shorten the rest time. Then I start to do that design. So the first thing that you need to really change, right, we need to improve is their aerobic fitness. And if some of you have been doing tests, like what Victor say, beep test or yo-yo test, the first thing that I did my players when they come back from circuit breaker is to do a yo-yo test. So I want to know, right, before and after, right, where are they now? So some of them, right, drop about 10 to 15%. Yeah. So I bring them back up to pre-circuit level fitness first. Then I start to put in the more high intensity drill, like this anaerobic drill. Not to say that you can't, but maybe the volume or the sets of this sprinting drill or the anaerobic drill, right, you need to be very careful. It cannot be pre-circuit breaker level.
Okay, thanks Ife for the insightful sharing session today. So without further ado, we will go to the reflection section of